North Dakota is the 39th state of the United States, having been admitted to the Union on November 2, 1889. It is located in the Upper Midwestern region of the United States, bordered by the Canadian provinces of Saskatchewan and Manitoba to the north, Minnesota to the east, South Dakota to the south, and Montana to the west. The state capital is Bismarck, and the largest city is Fargo. North Dakota is the 19th most extensive but the 4th least populous and the 4th least densely populated of the 50 United States. North Dakota has weathered the Great Recession of the early 21st century with a boom in natural resources, particularly a boom in oil extraction from the Bakken Formation, which lies beneath the northwestern part of the state. The development has driven strong job and population growth and low unemployment. Geography. North Dakota is located in the U.S. region known as the Great Plains. The state shares the Red River of the North with Minnesota on the east, South Dakota is to the south, Montana is to the west, and the Canadian provinces of Saskatchewan and Manitoba are north. North Dakota is situated near the middle of North America with a stone marker in Rugby, North Dakota marking the geographic center of the North American continent, with an area of 70,762 square miles. North Dakota is the 19th largest state. The western half of the state consists of the hilly Great Plains, and the northern part of the Badlands to the west of the Missouri River. The state's high point, White Butte at 3,506 feet, and Theodore Roosevelt National Park are located in the Badlands. The region is abundant in fossil fuels including natural gas, crude oil and lignite coal. The Missouri River forms Lake Saskatchewan, the third largest man-made lake in the United States, behind the Garrison Dam. The central region of the state is divided into the Drift Prairie and the Missouri Plateau. The eastern part of the state consists of the flat Red River Valley, the bottom of glacial Lake Agassiz. Its fertile soil, drained by the meandering Red River flowing northward into Lake Winnipeg, supports a large agriculture industry. Devil's Lake, the largest natural lake in the state, is also found in the east. Eastern North Dakota is overall flat, however, there are significant hills and buttes in western North Dakota. Most of the state is covered in grassland. Crops cover most of eastern North Dakota but become increasingly sparse in the center and farther west. Natural trees in North Dakota are found usually where there is good drainage, such as the ravines and valley near the Pembina Gorge and Killdeer Mountains, the Turtle Mountains, the hills around Devil's Lake, in the Dunes area of McHenry County in central North Dakota, and along the Cheyenne Valley slopes and the Cheyenne Delta. This diverse terrain supports nearly 2,000 species of plants. The state of North Dakota is home to the geographical center of North America located near Rugby, North Dakota. Climate. North Dakota has a continental climate with hot summers and cold winters. The temperature differences are rather extreme because of its far inland position and being in the center of the northern hemisphere, with roughly equal distances to the North Pole and the equator. As such, summers are almost subtropical in nature, but winters are cold enough to ensure plant hardiness is very low. History. Aboriginal American peoples lived in what is now North Dakota for thousands of years before the coming of Europeans. The tribes included the Mandan people, the Dakota people and the Yanktonai, the latter two from the Lakota peoples. The first European to reach the area was the French-Canadian trader Pierre Gautier, Sieur de la Vérendrye, who led an exploration party to Mandan villages in 1738. In 1762 the region became part of Spanish Louisiana until 1802. Dakota Territory was settled sparsely by European Americans until the late 19th century, when the railroads were constructed into the region. With the advantage of grants of land, they vigorously marketed the properties, extolling the region as ideal for agriculture. An omnibus bill for statehood for North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, and Washington, titled the Enabling Act of 1889, was passed on February 22, 1889 during the administration of Grover Cleveland. His successor, Benjamin Harrison, signed the proclamations formally admitting North Dakota and South Dakota to the Union on November 2, 1889. The rivalry between the two new states presented a dilemma of which was to be admitted first. Harrison directed Secretary of State James G. Blaine to shuffle the papers and obscure from him which he was signing first, and the actual order went unrecorded. Thus no one knows which of the Dakotas was admitted first. However, since North Dakota alphabetically appears before South Dakota, its proclamation was published first in the statutes at large. Since that day, it has become common to list the Dakotas alphabetically, and thus North Dakota is usually listed as the 39th state. Unrest among wheat farmers, especially among Norwegian immigrants, led to a radical political movement after World War I centered in the non-partisan League, the NPL, which eventually merged into the Democratic Party, tried to insulate North Dakota from the power of out-of-state banks and corporations. In addition to founding the state-owned Bank of North Dakota and North Dakota Mill and Elevator, the NPL established a state-owned railroad line. Anti-corporate laws were passed that virtually prohibited a corporation or bank from owning title to lands owned as farmland. These laws, still in force today, after having been upheld by both state and federal courts, make it almost impossible to foreclose on farmland, as even after foreclosure, the property title cannot be held by a bank or mortgage company. The original North Dakota state capitol in Bismarck burned to the ground on December 28, 1930. It was replaced by a limestone-faced Art Deco skyscraper that still stands today. A round of federal investment and construction projects began in the 1950s, including the Garrison Dam and the Minot and Grand Forks Air Force bases. There was a boom in oil exploration in western North Dakota in the late 1970s and early 1980s, as rising petroleum prices made development profitable. This boom came to an end after petroleum prices declined. In recent years, the state has had a strong economy, with unemployment lower than the national average and strong job and population growth. Much of the growth has been based on development of the Bakken oil fields in the western part of the state. Estimates as to the remaining amount of oil vary, with some estimating over 100 years' worth of oil remaining in the area. Demographics. Population. The United States Census Bureau estimates that the population of North Dakota was 756,927 on July 1, 2015, a 12.54% increase since the 2010 United States Census. This makes North Dakota the U.S. state with the largest percentage in population growth since 2011. Only Alaska, Wyoming, and Vermont have fewer residents. From fewer than 2,000 people in 1870, North Dakota's population grew to near 680,000 by 1930. Growth then slowed, and the population has fluctuated slightly over the past 7 decades, hitting a low of 617,761 in the 1970 census, with a total of 642,200 in the 2000 census. The United States Census Bureau, as of July 1, 2015, estimated North Dakota's population at 700,000. 156,927, which represents an increase of 12.5% since the last census in 2010. Immigration. North Dakota is one of the top resettlement locations for refugees. According to the U.S. Office of Refugee Resettlement, in 2013-2014, more than 68 refugees per 100,000 North Dakotans were settled in the state. In fiscal year 2014, 582 refugees settled in the state. Fargo. Mayor Mahoney said North Dakota accepting the most refugees per capita should be celebrated given the benefits they bring to the state. Quote, in 2015, Lutheran Social Services of North Dakota, the state's only resettlement agency, was awarded $458,090 in federal funding to improve refugee services. Immigration from outside the United States resulted in a net increase of 3,323 people, and migration within the country produced a net loss of 21,110 people. Of the residents of North Dakota, 69.8% were born in North Dakota, 27.2% were born in a different state, 0.6% were born in Puerto Rico, U.S. island areas, or born abroad to American parent, and 2.4% were born in another country. The age and gender distributions approximate the national average. Except for Native Americans, the North Dakota population has a lesser percentage of minorities than in the nation as a whole. As of 2011, 20.7% of North Dakota's population younger than age 1 were minorities. The center of population of North Dakota is located in Wells County, near Sikeston. Migration. Throughout the latter half of the 19th century and into the 20th century, North Dakota, along with most of the Midwest, experienced a mass influx of newcomers both from the eastern United States and new arrivals from Europe. North Dakota was a known popular destination for immigrant farmers and general laborers and their families, mostly from Norway, Sweden, Germany and the United Kingdom. Much of this settlement gravitated throughout the western side of the Red River Valley, as was similarly seen in South Dakota and in a parallel manner in Minnesota. This area is well known for its fertile lands, and by the outbreak of the First World War was among the richest farming regions in North America. For the 1930s until the end of the 20th century, North Dakota's population experienced a gradual decline, interrupted by a couple of brief increases. Young adults with university degrees were particularly likely to leave the state. With the advancing process of mechanization of agricultural practices, subsistence farming proved to be too risky for families, and many people moved to urban areas for jobs. One of the major causes of migration from North Dakota is the lack of skilled jobs for college graduates. Some proposed the expansion of economic development programs to create skilled and high-tech jobs, but the effectiveness of such programs has been open to debate. During the first decade of the 21st century, the population increased in large part because of jobs in the oil industry related to development of shale oil fields. Languages. In 2010, 94.86% of North Dakotans over 5 years old spoke English as the primary language. 5.14% of North Dakotans spoke a language other than English. 1.39% spoke German, 1.37% spoke Spanish, and 0.30% spoke Norwegian. Other languages spoken included Serbo-Croatian, Chinese and Japanese, and other Native American languages and French. In 2000, 2.5% of the population spoke German in addition to English. Racial and ancestry groups. According to the 2010 census, the racial and ethnic composition of North Dakota was as follows: White American, 90.0%. Native American, 5.4%. Black or African American, 1.2%. Asian, 1.0%. Pacific Islander, 0.1%. Some other race, 0.5%. Multiracial American, 0.2%. Most North Dakotans are of Northern European descent. As of 2009, the 7 largest ancestry groups in North Dakota are: German, 47.2%, Norwegian, 30.8%, Irish, 7.7%, Swedish, 4.7%, Russian, 4.1%, French, 4.1%, English, 3.9%. Hispanic or Latino, 2.0%. Religion: North Dakota has the most churches per capita of any state. A 2001 survey indicated that 35% of North Dakota's population was Lutheran and 30% was Catholic. Other religious groups represented were Methodists, Baptists, the Assemblies of God, Presbyterians, and Jehovah's Witnesses. Christians with unstated or other denominational affiliations, including other Protestants and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, totaled 3%, bringing the total Christian population to 86%. There were an estimated 920 Muslims and 730 Jews in the state in 2000. 3% of respondents answered "no religion" on the survey, and 6% declined to answer. The largest church bodies by number of adherents in 2010 were the Roman Catholic Church with 167,349, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, with 163,209, and the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod with 22,003. Culture: American Indian presence. North Dakota has a great number of Native Americans, and the word Dakota is a corruption of a Sioux word meaning allies or friends. The primary tribal groups originating in or around North Dakota consist of the Lakota and the Dakota, the Blackfoot, the Cheyenne, the Chippewa, and the Mandan. Social gatherings known as powwows are an important aspect of Native American culture and occur regularly throughout the state. Throughout Native American history, powwows were held, usually in the spring, to rejoice at the beginning of new life and the end of the winter cold. These events brought Native American tribes together for singing and dancing and allowed them to meet up with old friends and acquaintances, as well as to make new ones. Many powwows also held religious significance for some tribes. Today, powwows are still a part of the Native American culture and are attended by native and non-natives alike. In North Dakota, the United Tribes International Powwow, held each September in the capital of Bismarck, is one of the largest powwows in the United States. A powwow is an occasion for parades and Native American dances in regalia, with many dancing styles presented. It is traditional for male dancers to wear regalia decorated with beads, quills and eagle feathers. Male grass dancers wear colorful fringe regalia, and male fancy dancers wear brightly colored feathers. Female dancers dance much more subtly than the male dancers. Fancy female dancers wear cloth-beaded moccasins and jewelry, while a jingle dress dancer wears a dress made of metal cones. There are intertribal dances throughout the powwow, where everyone can take part in the dancing. Norwegian and Icelandic influences. Around 1870, many European immigrants from Norway settled in North Dakota's northeastern corner, especially near the Red River. Icelanders also arrived from Canada. Pembina was a town of many Norwegians when it was founded. They worked on family farms. They started Lutheran churches and schools, greatly outnumbering other denominations in the area. This group has unique foods such as lefse and lutefisk. The continent's largest Scandinavian event, Norse Coast Fest, is celebrated each September in Minot, the Icelandic state park in Pembina County, and an annual Icelandic festival reflects immigrants from that country, who are also descended from Scandinavians. Old World folk customs have persisted for decades in North Dakota, with revival of techniques in weaving, silver crafting, and wood carving. Traditional turf roof houses are displayed in parks. This style originated in Iceland. A stave church is a landmark in Minot. Ethnic Norwegians constitute nearly one-third, or 32.3% of Minot's total population and 30.8% of North Dakota's total population. Germans from Russia. Ethnic Germans who had settled in Russia for several generations grew dissatisfied in the 19th century because of economic problems and because of the revocation of religious freedoms for Mennonites and Hutterites. About 100,000 immigrated to the U.S. by 1900, settling primarily in North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas and Nebraska. The south-central part of North Dakota became known as the German-Russian Triangle. By 1910, about 60,000 ethnic Germans from Russia lived in central North Dakota. They were Lutherans and Roman Catholics who had kept many German customs at the time when their ancestors immigrated to Russia. They were committed to agriculture. Traditional iron cemetery grave markers are a famous art form practiced by ethnic Germans. Fine and performing arts. North Dakota's major fine art museums and venues include the Chester Fritz Auditorium, Empire Arts Center, the Fargo Theater, North Dakota Museum of Art, and the Plains Art Museum. The Bismarck Mandan Symphony Orchestra, Fargo-Moorhead Symphony Orchestra, Greater Grand Forks Symphony Orchestra, Minot Symphony Orchestra, and Great Plains Harmony Chorus are full-time professional and semi-professional musical ensembles that perform concerts and offer educational programs to the community. Entertainment. North Dakotan musicians of many genres include blues guitarist Johnny Lang, country music singer Lynn Anderson, jazz and traditional pop singer and songwriter Peggy Lee, big band leader Lawrence Welk, and pop singer Bobby V. The state is also home to indie rock June Panic. Ed Schultz is known around the country as the host of progressive talk radio show The Ed Schultz Show and The Ed Show on MSNBC. Shadoe Stevens hosted American Top 40 from 1988 to 1995. Josh Duhamel is an Emmy Award-winning actor known for his roles in All My Children and Las Vegas. Nicole Linkletter and Cara D. English were winning contestants of Cycles 5 and 7, respectively, of America's Next Top Model. Kellen Lutz has appeared in movies such as Stick It, Accepted, Prom Night, and Twilight. Popular culture. Along with having the most churches per capita of any state, North Dakota has the highest percentage of church-going population of any state. Outdoor activities such as hunting and fishing are hobbies for many North Dakotans. Ice fishing, skiing, and snowmobiling are also popular during the winter months. Residents of North Dakota may own or visit a cabin along a lake. Popular sport fish include walleye, perch, and northern pike. The western terminus of the North Country National Scenic Trail is located on Lake Sakakawea, where it departs the Lewis and Clark Trail.